بحمدك، وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي، وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأقل يا غفور عثرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعثرة قد أقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الذل، وكبره تكبيرا. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها، على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه، ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه، ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده، الظاهر بالكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يده، الذي لا تنقص خزائنه، ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما. إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيمة، وغناك عنه قديم، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي، وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي، وصفحك عن ظلمي، وسترك على قبيح عملي، وحلمك عن كثير جرمي، عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي، أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقني من رحمتك، وأريتني من قدرتك، وعرفتني من إجابتك، فصرت أدعوك آمنا وأسألك مستأنسا، لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك. فإن أبطأ عني عتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي أبطأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لئيم منك علي يا رب. إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك، وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك، وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك. كأن لي التطول عليك، فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي، والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك. فارحم عبدك الجاهل، وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك، مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح، ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خاصة الرزق، فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى، وقرب فشهد النجوى، تبارك وتعالى ظهير يعاضده، قهر بعزته الأعز، ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازيه. فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أعطاني، وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني، وبهجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه، ولا يغلق بابه، ولا يرد سائله، ولا يخيب آمله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وعمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على سبطي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملناه وما قصرنا عنه فبلغناه. اللهم المم به شعثنا واشعب به صدعنا وارتق به فتقنا وكثر به قلتنا وأعزز به ذلتنا وأغني به عائلنا واقض به عن مغرمنا واجبر به فقرنا وسد به خلتنا ويسر به عسرنا وبيض به وجوهنا وفك به أسرنا وأنجح به طلبتنا وأنجز به مواعيدنا واستجب به دعوتنا وأعطنا به سؤلنا وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين. اشف به صدورنا وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله وغيبة ولينا وكثرة عدونا وقلة عددنا وشدة الفتن بنا وتظاهر الزمان علينا فصل على محمد وآله، وأعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله، وبضر تكشفه، ونصر تعزه، وسلطان حق تظهره، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وعافية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.
If you want to be closer to me, it's okay. Oh.
Can I get the speaker? No, me.
The speaker or the microphone?
The microphone.
Me? You?
I say that first. No, I hit you. I got you. No, I got you. No, you're not. You got scissors.
Okay, so I think we're waiting for the internet to get back on. In the meantime, have you guys thought of a place you want to go after we're done?
Can we play?
Yeah, I think right after we're done. How long what?
Wait.
I mean, that's up to you guys. So, like, if you were to pick an ice cream place, like, we can't go to the movies. That's not gonna happen. Like dessert ice cream place, probably, right? Not here. We're going somewhere to get it, huh? Daisies? What is that? No, nothing. You want to share? Yeah. In case you change your mind. You're welcome.
Can you go to last food shop?
Can you go to where?
Last food shop?
Can you go to ice cream shop? Did you pick one?
Yeah.
Where? What about Frost?
Ice cream.
You want blue ice cream?
Yes.
We can buy whatever. You can buy any flavor ice cream and just paint it blue. It's fine.
I want to get corn candy. Yeah, I think Spider-Man.
Oh, we're dealing with kids over here. They don't have, real taste.
Can I start with the microphone?
I don't trust you. I'm not sure what you're gonna say.
No,
You have a question? Yeah, we good? Okay. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجه السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, so we are having an open Q&A discussion session today. Anybody have anything? Am I going to regret this? You do? Let's hear it. Okay, we have whatever questions you guys might have, we try to answer that instead. That way it's not me deciding what to talk about, it's you guys getting to decide if there's any questions or mine.
Are you going to do a vote about it?
No, you have a question, just ask it. That's it. Anything you have, as long as it's not related to Morbius.
Can you talk more about like the barzakh stage and like how long is like someone in that and what just more information about that?
About barzakh, yeah. So there's a lot of details, and I haven't studied it very well enough. But basically, there's kind of different opinions on it. A lot of the times when we think about, this is normally how we think about it, right? Like, okay, we're thinking about it in terms of like a timeline. Like everybody thinks, okay, like Yawm al-Qiyamah is here. Yawm al-Qiyamah. Okay, here's, end of times, or whatever, end of times, maybe over here. It's where the Imam's going to come or something. And you have, whatever, how many ever years till Yawm al-Qiyamah. And then this is where people's lives are, right? So let's just say that this is Nabi Adam, for example, right? And then, whatever, let's go to the year 2000, I don't know, year 3000, etc. So we're thinking after this, then that's where you get heaven and hell. People are also is going to happen over here too. Does that mean he's been in barzakh the whole time? Like is he in barzakh right now? What do you imagine? No? Where is he? So he's not alive. We don't know that, right? We know he died. I think about any past. Anybody? So we're obviously right here. That's the question is, okay, now, let's say you have somebody who's whatever, these thousands of, or maybe millions of years old. Does that mean that their barzakh now is like millions of years or thousands of years or whatever? Or let's just say somebody who dies a year before me. Do they spend one more year in barzakh than me? Like how does it work? And the problem with that is that we're thinking about time like this. In this world, yeah, we're thinking of time like as a linear thing. It's moving forward. In the other realms, that's not how time works. In the other dimensions. That's not how time functions. How many of you guys have seen Interstellar? By Christopher Nolan? I just don't know your movies, man. This is really pathetic. Trying to think. Terminator? Okay. A few more of you. What else? What else can we do? All right. There's obviously a lot of movies that talk about time travel, right? How many? So I obviously mentioned one, which is Terminator. By the way, spoiler alert for all these movies that we're about to obviously Interstellar is another one. Endgame. No.
So the basic rules will go like, you would go back into a certain year in the past.
Okay.
You're not supposed to interact with anybody, especially not your past self, because you'll be setting it that will change the future or the present technically.
So that theory, right? So we're here right now, 22, that's now. Let's say we time travel, we go back. 2020, yeah, it was a great year. That's right. We'll stick with 2020. We go back to 2020 to everybody, or to tell them that, you know, there's a couple stocks you might want to invest in or whatever. So now there's the 2020 version of you, and there's obviously normal time travel rules work, right? So Back to the Future, that's how that worked. Is if you go in the past, you create new future. Right? If you keep doing it, it's going to keep making like new futures and things like that. Again, I don't think anything else on the list is like, yeah, nothing else is like that. The end game is different. No change. You can't change it. Anytime you travel back, you know, whatever happens already happened. Right? Okay. So right now, it was my 2025 version that came and knocked me down. I was the one who actually did that. But I didn't recognize it back then because I had no idea what was going on. So time is just one version of it, but we just don't know all the events that happen. Meaning there's no such thing as changing the past or changing the future or anything like that. Whatever happens, all done. So that rules, interstellar rules, I think it's Harry Potter rules too. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Yeah, let's recite. Okay. Now you're like, what? Different too. A lot of people think it's that everything's, and again, stuff starts at the end, but that's not how it works. In reality, everything's right now. In the truest, difficult to understand, hopefully we're in heaven, right? But you're like, well, how come I don't feel like it? Well, it's the same idea of that's where we'd bring in Inception, I guess. How many have seen Inception? Man, you guys don't watch movies, huh? Okay. This is bad. Okay. So when you're having a dream, right? When you're in a dream, and like, you know, sometimes dreams last like, you know, maybe a whole day, a week. You know, dreams can last a long time. But then you wake up and you're like, oh, it was only like a 15-minute nap. Like, how did that happen? So time differently depending on what dimension you're in. If you're in the dream world, time feels different, right? So right now, we are actually in heaven or hell, but in this world, it's basically our like a sleeping version. It's a different version of us. So we're feeling the effects of time differently. So we're going through all of this. And that's why we have the famous hadith that I think Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "An-nas niyamun idha matu intabahu." That humans are all asleep. When you die, that's when you actually wake up. So all of us are here in heaven and hell and technically in barzakh. All that stuff is happening right now. We're just not sure of it. We're not aware of it because we're all technically asleep. When you wake up, that's when we're all going to wake up at the same time. Like, oh, like that's what's going on. I can't believe it. So all of our understanding of time is just like that. So what we're talking about is when you're in barzakh right now, basically. You're in heaven or hell right now. And the experience of time is not that you're going to be waiting for stuff like that. That's the opinion of like philosophers or that's what they would say. Other people would take the linear version of time that you're sitting there and waiting, but then some people would say, well, that seems unfair because now somebody's got to go through like 1,000,000 years of barzakh and wait. So that's usually the discussion that goes through. Now what happens over there, again, that depends too. So normally it's a minor version of heaven or hell. They say that if you've done enough good deeds, then you'll see some result of that over there. Like you get like a mini heaven. But if you have a good amount of good deeds, but there's still some payback because you've done some sins, then you'll get paid back in a mini hell in barzakh. But then afterwards you're done, you get to go straight to heaven. Yeah. That's where it's so kind of. So barzakh, the best analogy is think of a dream. There are certain things that if you're fully aware, you're more in control, especially if you know it's a lucid dream, right? You're in control of a lot of things, but there's still stuff out of your control too. So it's just like another level of reality. Heaven, we'll talk about heaven. Heaven is a whole different thing, right? When we finally go over there. Barzakh is basically every step that you go. The dunya is a place that and we have our souls which are immaterial, but most of the stuff around us is physical. When you start to pull away and you go higher, to the first barzakhi realm, that realm now is a bit more immaterial. It's like almost like 50-50. Just like a dream, right? A dream, it's not your actual body in a dream. But you can still feel stuff. You can hear stuff. You can taste stuff. You can smell stuff in a dream, but it's not your nose. It's not your actual hands. It's like a more immaterial spiritual version of you. So it's actually a more real version of you. So you have sensations and things like that, right? Sensation of time and all that stuff. And then finally, the best place where there's no physical stuff, it's all immaterial, is when you get to either heaven or hell. Make sense? Yeah, Aziz.
So this kind of connects to the subject of barzakh as well. When can you do your very last deed? Is it when you die, or like in barzakh, can you still like do salat and other worshipings and stuff like that?
So there's an ikhtilaf there. Some say, look, once you're dead, that's it. Like the imtihan, your ability to progress is gone. Others, again, that's usually the view of the mutakallimin, because they'll use the ayat of the Quran and say, look, once you're gone, people will say, oh, send me back, I can do better. They say, no, your imtihan, your trial's done. You've earned everything, that's it. Now you'll see the results, that's it. Others, and there's a difference even amongst the philosophers in Urafa. And some will agree with mutakallimin, say, look, once you die, game over. Others will say, no, it depends on what you've collected. So if you're thinking of like a video game analogy, it's like as you're playing the game, you can collect like extra lives. So that once you get to barzakh, like you cash those in, and then you still get to grow a little bit there too. So they say certain deeds will give you certain benefits in barzakh. And they also extend that to say heaven as well. Because we know that there's 7 levels of heaven, right? So they say that, look, if you've got spiritual momentum, if you've worked on yourself in this dunya, and then some of that stuff you see in barzakh, and then you also see it in heaven too. Meaning, maybe you didn't live the best life, but you did some good stuff. So maybe you start off at like level 1 or 2 in heaven, but because you had this spiritual momentum and ability to grow, Allah says, okay, you can do some ibadah here, and I'll let you try to get to a higher level there. So that's what some Urafa say, is that there is some ability of harakat and growth in those realms. Yeah, but again, they have proofs back and forth in what they believe, so I don't want to get into those. But yeah, there's an ikhtilaf. Yeah.
Would that be kind of like how Iblis leveled up in heaven? And kind of made himself to the top?
So the Iblis situation is different because nobody has been in heaven or hell yet. Well, so you missed the beginning part. We're all either in heaven or hell right now. That's what we said. We're just ghafil. We're not aware that we are because we're all asleep. They put it like that. That's why I got Inception down here, if you've seen it. Have you seen Inception?
No.
God, you guys are... you guys watch Morbius, but you don't watch Inception, right? This is terrible. This community needs a lot of work, I'll tell you. Okay.
Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio, yeah. Okay, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Very hard to understand.
Really?
Like 4, 5, 6.
We'll have a tafsir session next time I come back, inshallah. We'll go through each of these movies, inshallah, right? We'll do a viewing and then
We'll
we'll
watch
talk
in the
about it.
genre.
Yeah, but not Morbius. Actually, no, we can do a Morbius one, but that's like the story of Shaitan, basically. That's what we'll talk about. Okay. I got lost in Morbius again, right? What are we talking about? No. What was your question again?
I kind of got the idea of it. I do have another question though. Is it true that kind of in this in the barzakh world, would you get Allah would punish you there, as in terms like if you a reward, you won't get punished, and like if you go to whether you go to hell or heaven, you get punished in the barzakh world?
Yeah, so we were mentioning some of this stuff last night, towards the end. We were saying that for mu'mineen, people who are really putting in their effort, trying to get closer to Allah, He says, okay, this is the system that I've given you. You do, obviously we have a mix of good deeds and bad deeds, right? It's like all the bad stuff, I'll punish you in the dunya first. So I'll try to give it to you there. That way you come clean for the other parts of your life. If you do have a lot of bad deeds, then you're also going to go through some trials and difficulties in death and in your grave. You still have some bad deeds, then you're going to go through like a barzakhi hell. Then hopefully, if you're a real mu'min, then you would have been cleaned up by then, and then that way you get to go straight to heaven while you're purified. For people who are zalimeen, fasiqeen, those who just don't care, they have no iman, it's the other way around for them. All the good stuff they get here, that way they get punishment all the way through now. In their harsh death, harsh grave questioning, barzakh is going to be like really bad for them, and then hell, obviously they'll get barbecued there, as we said. Yeah.
So if you have a lucid dream and then you do like sin or something in that dream, knowing that it's like, oh, it's a dream, I can do that. Is that like...
Technically, the fuqaha say it's okay because what we're accountable for is over here. But they say, some scholars say that shows you your level of taqwa. If you really want to know what your level of taqwa is, see how you act in dreams. So if like in your dreams you're going around like and acting like you're playing Grand Theft Auto, then like that's what your soul really is like. Yeah, but even in your dreams, if you're like obeying Islamic law and like observing the rules of mahram, non-mahram, and stuff like that. That means that your soul is really powerful, actually. That's one of the ways that you can kind of test it out. But I mean, obviously, yeah, if you have the chance to do the Superman Matrix stuff, then yeah, obviously you want to do those things at least, right? In a lucid dream, if you can. So sorry, the Iblis stuff that you asked made sense. So nobody's been in heaven and hell in that sense. Iblis was at a higher realm with the angels. They say the Malakuti realm. That's where he was. That's where he got to this high station. Then, of course, that's when he got his final test, and then he failed and went all the way down. Right? But same thing applies to him, though, because he's one of the greatest Dhalameen and Kafirin. Because God said, okay, you made a mistake, like you messed up. You should have done sujood to Nabi Adam. You didn't. So Shaitan had a chance to do tawbah and istighfar. Could have been like Nabi Adam, because Nabi Adam also made a mistake, right? By going towards a tree. Him and Lady Hawa, alayhi salam. They both went towards the tree. The difference is they did istighfar and tawbah. That's why they became the khulafa and Shaitan didn't. You know, he had takabbur. He was a kafir. Like it was hidden in him. I gave him one test and he failed. But you see Nabi Adam and Lady Hawa, for them, the same trial that they went through, even though they made a mistake, they used the names of the Ahlul Bayt. They sought istighfar, performed tawbah, and that's why they are higher than anybody else. And that's why Bani Adam, or human beings, are higher than anybody else. Recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Anything from the under 20 crowd? If you guys don't have questions, that's fine. These guys got plenty, so they can keep going. Idris Elba? That's Denzel Washington's son. Was it John David Washington? Yeah. So yeah, Tenet is probably one of the best about time. But the same thing would apply. That thing that everything's to play. It's tough to say. It depends on who I'm playing with too, right? So when I was a kid, I used to play football. Two-hand touch, obviously, because obviously I can't play. Yes. And then non-contact sport volleyball. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I played football.
Oh, okay. I was
It's
wondering.
a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering.
That's it? That's
yeah.
the question?
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Oh, man. Valor? Valor. I can't remember. I played it so long ago. It's an old game, right? It's really. Yeah, check it. I can't. It's really. That's why I couldn't hold it, because you're like going like you're like spinning the mic like that.
Okay.
So I'm hearing like half the syllables.
No.
It's like sports and stuff like that. I don't like. That's like I'd rather play in real life. I'll play them. I don't enjoy them. I mean, Madden. Yeah, I used to enjoy Madden, but I mean, I had every Madden from. I had like Madden 95 on Genesis, so you guys don't even know about that, man. Yeah, the old Genesis. You guys don't know about that, man. I know you know. That's it. Any other one? No. One more. One last one. Sports or game related or movie related.
So I caught you mentioning Assassin's Creed one time.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like Assassins and Templars.
Yeah.
And if you actually go back in history, Assassins are actually a group of Muslims. Now, one of them believes in like free will, which are the Assassins, and the Templars believe in one control of one higher individual. I don't want to see a higher.
Yeah. Without going into why they're. So what are you basing it off of? Are you basing it off their creed, or are you basing it off of like?
Basing off of the creed, they're like nothing is true, everything is permitted.
What is it? So it was. كل شيء
ممكن,
right? And even the founding fathers of America as well, they said that we wouldn't need government. So they created a false sense of democracy and voting, so that because they said, look, you people, you general lay people, you're all dumb. You don't know anything. So we're going to give you the pretend version of democracy and voting, but behind the scenes, we're going to call all the shots. That's why they set up the Electoral College and all this stuff to mess with people. And that's why the media, too, is pretty much owned by all of them, too. So you have a fake sense of free will, but we actually control everything. And that's what the Templar ideology is about. The extreme, though, is this son of Ismaili, more Mu'tazili sort of idea, is that no, human beings are all great, and they're all powerful, and they're all wonderful. Let's give them all this freedom, which we don't agree with either, because if we're putting Shia in sort of a moderate path, people can really mess up. So we need the right people to help control and guide our free will. So that's why we have the system of Wilayah through the Ahlul Bayt, alayhimus salam, And they've passed that down to our ulama, maraji', with arfa, and things like that. That you need a wali, you need awliya to keep your society in check. Like a bunch of random people running things, it's not going to go anywhere. Right? And they talk about this in postmodern theology too, or anti-postmodernist theology, where right now, if you're thinking about in a society, right? Society, you have a bunch of different people. Let's go 5 people. Right now, the way democracy works is that when you get majority vote, right, whatever, 4 out of 5, that's it. That's what makes your laws. That's what makes something true, right, moral, etc. So he asked the question like, okay, who gave these individuals, where did they get the right to have any power in the first place? Right? Allah didn't say that you can go and start voting and doing whatever you want. This is a whole argument against Saqifa. Like, Allah never told you could do that. The Prophet never said, hold some session after I'm gone. Right? Islam. So yeah, in this democracy and voting, but that's not an Islamic concept whatsoever. And even in our center, sometimes they employ this concept. Our idea, though, is that sometimes awliya or a wali who is able to say, okay, I'll give you some range, right? You'd have your wali over here. I'll give you some level of free will in some things. So, as an example, think about like a father in a household. He'll say to his kids, okay, you guys want to go out for dinner tonight? And they'll say, yeah, let's go out. It's like, okay, where do you want to go? So he'll give them some sense of free will. And then one of the kids might say, oh, I want to go to McDonald's. And the father will say, no, we're not going to McDonald's, right? So it gives him the option, but he'll be able to call the shots and say what is good, what's not good, based on all the factors that he sees. So where needed, he'll allow for free will. Where needed, he won't. So they say, for example, like the Islamic Republic of Iran. They say that's how it works too. You have, like, previously Imam Khomeini,